Hello everyone and welcome back to my channel. I hope that you have watched my previous video where I kind of talk about why I have been absent from the space for a few months. But I'm glad to be back, and today I'm just going to kind of share an update on how our homeschool year has gone, some of the curriculum that we are using since I didn't get to share a curriculum video last summer, and just kind of give you an update on how things are going and what I am expecting the rest of the year to look like for us. So grab some coffee, some tea, and let's chat. I would be up waiting for you if you had to leave. If you haven't watched my most recent video, definitely go check that out. I kind of explain, well, I go into more detail about where I have been, but we've had lots of big life changes happen to us and our family, and this channel has been put on the back burner. But through it all, we have still been homeschooling this year. This year has definitely looked different for us. This was going to be my first year that I am not pregnant while I'm homeschooling or breastfeeding a child. But lo and behold, here we are. So the first half of our homeschool year was honestly very minimal on my part. So we did something different this year, which in hindsight, it was definitely God giving me the foresight to help myself and my kids through this homeschool year. But I have talked about in the past how we are a part of a weekly co-op. So we go to co-op once a week, and at our co-op, they take 3 classes there, and we really enjoy that. But this year we decided to try something else in addition to. So not only are we a part of our weekly co-op where the boys are taking 3 classes each there, but additionally, they joined another homeschool group. It is similar to a co-op, but it is not parent-led like the traditional homeschool co-op is and like our other co-op. This one was one that I go and take them to and drop them off, and they are there for a period of time while they're taking their classes, and then I come pick them up. So it's definitely different than anything that we have done, that they have done. And it definitely helped ease some guilt from me, because it would kind of sneak in there every once in a while, because our homeschool at home was very minimal due to my pregnancy and just how sick that I was. And it definitely helped take the load off of me that first semester. Other homeschool group, they were taking 5 classes there, and it actually is a year-long class. So, and it's split into 2 semesters. They're on break from there right now. But the first semester, they had some baking classes, they had meteorology and a Lego STEM class and a history class. So between that and our co-op, just that in and of itself, they had a very enriched, well-rounded education this first semester. And then we were only having 3 days at home where we were doing strictly our core curriculum, our reading and our math. So our days at home, we were only doing math or reading, and we have been sticking to the block schedule that we implemented about this time last year. Actually, we've been doing it for a year now, and we are still doing that. It is excellent. Highly recommend trying that out. I will link that video here where I share all about our block schedule and what it looks like for us. But if your kids are struggling with transitioning between different subjects, which some of mine were, this has been a huge game changer for us. And so this year, even though we were only doing homeschool at home 3 days a week, we were still sticking to that block schedule. And that has looked like, you know, 1 week we have 2 days where we're doing English language arts and 1 day where we're doing math. And then the next week we have 2 days of math and 1 day of English language arts. I was hesitant about adding in the other homeschool group because that only left us 3 days at home. But because of the block scheduling and because last summer we schooled through most of the summer, which was the first time we had done that, it kind of like helped me feel better about making sure that they're getting all that they need to get. Plus, you know, I had to keep reminding myself that all of the other things that they're learning throughout the week in these other classes that they're taking are hugely beneficial, and I didn't need to like stress so much about what we're doing like in our core curriculum, because ultimately it's all going to be fine and they're still learning and they're thriving and everything is okay. As far as curriculum goes, we have pretty much stuck with what we have used the last couple of years, and I don't see much of that changing going forward, like in the next couple of years anyway. I have really kind of gotten in my head about how my oldest son only has another 1.5 years left of elementary school, and oh my gosh, like the feels that I have about that is it's really gotten to me, because I can't believe it has gone so fast. We have homeschooled from the beginning, and so I have homeschooled him since kindergarten. And to think that I have the rest of this school year and then 1 more year and he will be middle school age, like that blows my mind, breaks my heart a little bit. So I'm really trying to take advantage of the fact that he's still in elementary school and he still enjoys doing all of the fun things that come along with doing elementary school. So I'll talk more about that, about what kind of we're doing going forward. But the first semester, our core curriculum, like I said, has been pretty much the same as what it's been the last couple of years. So for math, we have stuck with Horizons math. This is not for everybody. It has worked well for my kids. However, I think the downside is that if you switched this curriculum 2nd grade or older, your child may struggle to get caught up. This definitely moves at a faster pace. It's more advanced than some of the other math curriculums out there. We have tried some of the other math programs like The Good and the Beautiful, which I did a video about. And unfortunately, that video came out like shortly before they revamped their math program. So I have gotten a lot of not very nice comments about my opinion on that. But the caveat is that we did not get to try the new math. This was the previous edition of their math program. And I have heard that it has been revamped and has changed and it's wonderful now. And that's great. But we are not going backward. We have already, we're on this, we're sticking with it now. So my 4th grader is actually still working on the 2nd part of the 3rd grade portion. So we switched to Horizons 3rd year using this. So the first year that we used it, my 2nd son was in 1st grade. And so I had him work through the whole kindergarten books of Horizons. And then he started 1st grade. And he was able to get through all of kindergarten and all of first grade within that first grade year. But my oldest son, he was in second grade when we started Horizons, and I had him start with the second book of first grade, which was a good choice. But because of that, he has never been able to like catch up. So he has not been able to get to like his grade level math. And it's not because of him or his ability. It's just simply because this math is much more involved. And this year, we did take some time for him away from the curriculum because he really needed to work on his multiplication. Crewy, he's upstairs. And so he needed some extra work on his multiplication. So we worked on that a bit and we took a break from that. So that, in addition to our block scheduling, that has kind of, so he only does 2 to 4 lessons of math a week. And because of that, he's never been able to like get caught up. So I think if I could add anything to my like Horizons math review, I would say if you decide to switch to this curriculum, be aware that your child may not be able to like get caught up. What's great, and all curriculums do this generally, is they provide like an assessment so you can see if your child is ready. And he did that at the beginning of this year, and he was not ready to move on to the 4th grade book yet. So this is the beauty of being able to homeschool, is he doesn't have to feel pressured in any way to catch up or feel like he's behind. He is exactly where he needs to be. He is learning all the things he needs to learn, and you know, eventually it'll all come out in the wash. Like it'll all even out and it'll all be fine. But for now, both him and my second son, they're both in this 3rd grade math. My second son is in the 1st book. And so he was the same, actually. He was still finishing the 2nd grade book, and he has only recently moved on to this one. So it's all fluid, right? Like it'll all balance out in the end, and we don't need to stress about what level they're on. So they're both doing that for math. One thing that we are still using that I highly recommend to anyone is The Good and the Beautiful's musical multiplication. This has been truly instrumental in teaching my kids their multiplication facts. I had always heard of it and heard it was great. And then when we started using it last year, it has truly been amazing. And what's been really great is that we started working on it for my oldest son, but my second son has learned his multiplication facts a lot easier and faster simply by, you know, proximity and being around when we are doing it. So he is actually ahead of the game when it comes to his math because he already knows most of his multiplication facts. So if your kids are struggling with their multiplication, I highly recommend checking this out. So it comes with these books, and it comes with the digital files of the songs. And what's great is you can quickly pull them up on your phone. So I would say most math days, we are playing those songs on my phone. So it has been truly instrumental in them learning their multiplication facts. For language arts, we have continued to stick with The Good and the Beautiful. My oldest son has been doing this since 1st grade, I believe. So he is on the 4th level of the English language arts. This was my first year buying like the whole thing from their website. And in previous years, I have printed it and binded it myself at home. But again, given the state of my life at the beginning of the school year, that was just not something that I could spend time doing. So the great thing about their curriculum is that not only is it wonderful, but the price point is amazing. I mean, you truly cannot find a more well-rounded curriculum for such a phenomenal price point. So one thing that I really like this year about the 4th grade level, and I just shared this with a friend, is not only do you get this with the 4th grade level of language arts, but it also includes a spelling and writing workshop, separate book, and for each lesson in the course, they also have a lesson in the spelling and writing workshop. So I have talked about this before, how I have never done a traditional like spelling curriculum. I have not found it useful simply because we write every day. So through their writing and just reading to them, they have not needed a traditional spelling curriculum. So this has been great because it does add that in without having to do something else or have a separate curriculum. And I really like how this focuses a lot on writing. So it kind of alternates. One lesson is a writing workshop, and then the next lesson they do a spelling workshop. And because we do the block scheduling, they're doing 2 lessons for a day. So on our reading days, there, he is getting both a writing and a spelling workshop because we're doing 2 lessons. And then this year, we actually did start the year with my 3rd grader finishing up level 2 of All About Reading. But we got to a point with that curriculum that I felt he was surpassing it, and it wasn't challenging him anymore, which is wonderful because my 2nd grader, he's been a struggling reader. So last year we tried the Good and the Beautiful language arts for him, and he just wasn't ready for it. I think that contrary to their math, I think that their language arts does move a little bit quicker, more at a faster pace, where their math, I think, is significantly slower. But around, I want to say October, my 2nd grader was able to start, or he's in 3rd grade, he started level 2 of the language arts, the Good and the Beautiful. And this time, and I'm going to do a separate video on this, but they have revamped these as well, similar to how they did with the math. They have revamped their language arts curriculum, and I love it. And I have noticed the difference because my oldest son already went through this book, and I can see the differences, and I love all of the things that they have changed. So I'm going to talk about that in a separate video, but he has been using this for language arts, and then we are still using the reading cards, like the reading box from All About Reading, to kind of just make sure he is keeping up with all of those, not sight words, but the words that they go through in that curriculum as well. And then when they need to have some like more independent work, they're both working on cursive writing. This is just something that I got from Amazon. My 4th grader has the Handwriting Without Tears cursive one, and that's just because we've had that one, and so he's working through that one. My 3rd grader is working through this one, and we still, every day that we have homeschool at home, we are still journaling. So we do a journal prompt a day. This is what I think really has helped them with their spelling and their writing, and why I think that they have not needed a traditional or a whole separate like spelling or writing curriculum. So that is all that we have done the first semester, the first part of this year. The next, like the latter half of this year is going to look a lot different than it did the first half.